Hello everyone, and welcome to Pit Stop, a show for the bikers by the bikers. Today we're talking with Neels Loots. He's the treasurer for the CMA Kimberley chapter. He's been with CMA for quite some time, I believe. He just received these leather colors as well this year.
Ja,
Am I right? Ja.
my leer.
Ja, jou leer colors is daar,
Ai.
uiteindelik. Neels, I can see by your grey hairs that you've had quite a few years in the biking community. It's only biking that can make your hair so grey, no? It's not grey, it's chrome.
It's chrome, yeah, it's chrome. Yeah, I've got chrome, yeah.
You've had quite a few years with the biking,
Yes.
and I believe you also involved as a first aid instructor. Am I right?
Yeah,
that's
I've been
great.
a paramedic for
Paramedic
quite some
for quite
time,
some time,
yeah.
For me, I would like to ask you the first question is, and I think it's one of the biggest questions we have, is where did you start with biking and why did you decide to go into biking?
Do I have to mention the wife?
Not if you want.
Okay, that's good. JP biking in general started for me as a young child. We lived at that stage at Ulemanzuk, and there was this friend Barend. He was a very tall guy, and he had these pit stop bikes. I think it was a 50cc bike. It's got 3 gears on it, and he was riding it along, in the field, and I wanted to ride this thing, but I had no idea about changing gears. So I got onto this thing, and I just to take a ride, and I just cranked it, and I was driving all the way at the back, and I was thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I put it down, and this guy was very angry because I was wheeling his bike, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, okay. So that was actually my first taste of it. But as school progressed, the love grew. I got the old 50cc's, built it up. Dad sold it.
Yeah.
And it just evolved. It just grew on to me. And when you get to a bike, it's like what is there to tell?
Yeah.
Everything is there. Everything is there is to like. So it's something that when it bites, people catch fish.
Yeah.
We catch bikes.
Yeah,
You can't get it out.
And it's a bit cheaper because you have 2 less tires to buy.
Yeah, and it's only. Wait, I can't say that. No, completely, I can't say that. Yeah.
What inspired you to keep on riding, even though you have the difficulties of life financially or whatever the case may be? What inspired you to keep on riding?
I think looking at other people, knowing that I'm not the only guy that's struggling. I've been in Thailand, and I see the guys riding on a bike, and I know that's a poor community.
Yes.
But even when I go out on ride-alongs amongst these in South Africa in the rallies, you see a lot of people, and they're happy, and that they're happy, even though they have those constraints about finances, schools, and work and stuff. They're always happy on the bike, and that inspires me. It's the freedom and the happiness and the openness that the people have with their motorcycles. But it's not only when they're amongst the motorcycles, it's the family, the communion that we have, and that is very inspiring. It's not a one-man game. It's always a family. There's a guy that said it to me once, that you will never ever see a biker pass another biker that's stranded.
Yes.
That is a big inspiration to me, by just knowing that there's always
somebody to help you.
Always somebody to help.
You briefly mentioned Thailand. You spent some time there with the family. Tell us more about that.
I did some missionary work in Thailand, and I worked with youngsters, troubled youth in the juveniles. And we reached out to the Born to Be Wild groups, and we've been involved with some of the Harley Davidson guys, and we just had some ride-alongs. It's totally different than what we do it, but it's a biker, it's a family, it's the same, it's just the settings that change.
It's just setting up.
What I've learned there is it's again, they just accepted you and say, hey, welcome, you're from South Africa, tell us more, tell me about your colors and how do you do it. And then sharing the information, it was just mind-blowing. They just accepted me.
Yes, that's wonderful. To know that no matter where you go in the world, the biking stays biking, and it becomes part of the family.
Yeah, even you can't speak the language.
Yeah.
In some way you understand it.
You speak a different kind of language.
Yeah. You see, I was standing there one of this rallies, and this guy brought out this custom-made bike. It's a must-see. It's really. So I was standing there deep installed, and I didn't know this guy was standing next to me. And as he, twisted that throttle, it was like that deep Harley Davidson sound. I was like, oh, it's beautiful. And this guy said, yes, my wife said the same thing.
That's great.
I will never forget that.
Tell me, when did you realize that biking is part of you as a person and with flesh and blood that you do? Where did you realize that you wanted to become a biker and that it is part of what you are?
JP, I think it was while I was still a child. I always knew I wanted to be in the biking. I wanted to ride bikes. But I think the finality came when I was working in Johannesburg, Victoria. I saw these guys riding along, CMA colors, and you see the bikes. And I just had this urge of I want to be there. I want to belong. And I just felt, when you get to an accident scene, there's bikes involved. For some reason, I just felt home.
Yes.
I just knew that. Whereas when you go into a bar, for instance, or you go with these bikers, I always felt home. Whereas my friends and my colleagues always felt out of place. They just had this fear. And the moment when I felt that I'm safe, this is my place, this is my people, this is where I feel beloved, and it's in a club, that is when I knew that this is part of me.
Wonderful.
This is part of me. You can't get it out. And it
becomes part of your DNA.
It becomes part of your DNA.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't explain it. Het komt zonder woorden.
Yeah, what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
I know in Kimberley we have quite a few bike clubs, and I know throughout South Africa there's a lot of bike clubs. Big ones, here in Kimberley the big ones is like Smileys and with the Elite Rebels and all those. Tell me, why did you choose to come over to CMA?
I didn't choose it. It was chosen for me. I just followed.
Yeah.
I believe it's a calling. I think God called me to be here. And I think there's a lot of great clubs out there, and I think each and every club there is doing a very good thing, and they live out their life and values. But for me, it's a calling. The moment when I decided I want to join an organization or ride with a group, it was always CMA. It's always been. I've never ridden. I've been involved with a lot of other people, but I've never worn the colors of any other motorcycle club in South Africa or abroad, but only CMA. So I was called to this. God calls you. It's a calling.
Exactly.
It's not a club. It's a calling.
And I think what a lot of people don't realize is as a CMA member, you're not just part of CMA. You're actually part of each and every club in your community. I mean, you're part of the rallies. You're part of decisions that's made and all that. Even though we're not actually a club, it's an association, but still you get part of all the clubs in our community. Am I right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I can recall, you remember the old black steer rallies that they had here?
Yes.
That's many years back, and I think my very first encounter with a real CMA guy was at the black steer rally. And I think that is what intrigued me. This is where my calling started with, is when I saw how that guy treated the people around him. It was totally different than what the other people was doing, and that caught my eye, and I knew that, know what, I can do that. I want to do that. I want to be that person to everybody.
Yeah.
And I think being called to the CMA gave me that opportunity, and I don't think there will be another club for me or an organization. It will always be the CMA.
Yeah. Wonderful. Now, in every club with us as well, you go through a prospecting phase when you start at all the biking clubs, and there's certain rules you have to follow to be part of it, and you have to do the prospecting and then a half club member and all that. What advice do you have for the future prospect, the young ones coming into CMA with their biking? What advice do you have for those prospects?
JP is 2 words: fast bite and listen. Okay, and then okay, maybe we can throw in the respect thing too. I think it's the endurance. When you are a prospect, and especially when you're in the youth and a youngster, you are being tested and pushed to your limits. People try to see both sides, the good and the bad, and sometimes the one overrules the other one, and then to fast debate, just to endure in that, shows you your true colors, and the rewards is there. once you've been admitted and once accepted in his family, your world will change.
Yes.
And it's 99.9% it is for the better. I would say always listen to the peers, you know, the people that's been riding along longer than you've been riding. I mean, I can learn still a lot from you that's been riding longer than me. As bikers, we tend to give advice when you shift down, rather do it this way. If you up your gear up, or when you go into a turn, you lean to it, be careful. And it's good to listen because they've got something, they've got something that I don't. And I think the most important thing is respect. Have respect for your members in your club, you know. Have decency, have respect for yourself, and then have respect for your cut, you know, your president. That's the most important thing, your leadership. But most of all, your foundation, God must be right. It doesn't matter where you are. Have your foundation solid. So build on your foundation.
I think that's a lot of things that the young ones also miss, maybe, is to listen to the old guys, the old chaps that went through everything. I mean, they went through the hardships and they went through the troubles and all that. I think if we can just listen a bit to them, we'll also learn to go through it easier.
But JP, if I really have to listen to you now, I'm also going to lose my hair.
No, this is not. This is of having too much fun.
No, perhaps it is because you didn't listen.
Yeah, maybe I didn't listen a bit.
Boetie, jy moet nou hoor hierso. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Neels. We've come to the end of our show today.
Thank you,
and it was a wonderful experience to have this chat with you.
Likewise, brother. Likewise.
Yeah, and it's great. You can always contact Neels. He is available day and night. I mean, it's part of what he does.
Yeah.
You can contact him via Bikers Church. They will be able to put you in contact with him, or you can also check out for the administration details that will show up on the end of the show, and contact the administration via that. Thank you very much, Neels, and it was a great story that you had to tell for us.
Thank you,
I think there's a lot of people that learned from it.
Thank you so much.
All right,
I appreciate it.
And remember, bikers are just ordinary people living extraordinary lives with what they have, just like everybody else. They just
like to ride. I like it om te ry. Kom ons hou die wiele in die lig, my broer. Happy for happy.
Ag man.